Hey, this is Francesca Shearer. I'm the career coach here at Paragould High School, along with Miss Brittany Hall. She's also a career coach here at Paragould High School. And we are hosting Financial Aid Night tonight. And we're going to talk about some of the changes for the state lottery scholarships. And I know that some parents are unable to come tonight, so I wanted to make this recording so that we can share that with you so you don't miss any of this information. If you would like to have access to this presentation online, you can scan that QR code. You'll be able to create a free account on Canva and you'll be able to view it anytime you want to. So we're going to start with changes to the Academic Challenge Scholarship. This is one that most of our seniors are going to be eligible to receive when they go to college. The last year, so seniors had to have a 19 on the ACT and a 3.0 GPA. This year, they have made it to where you only have to meet one of these requirements. So a super score of 19 on the ACT or a 3.0 GPA or an average of 246 on the AccuPlacer. The AccuPlacer is a free, untimed test that Ms. Hall and I can both give to your student here on the high school campus. So if they need to take that test, just have them reach out to their career coach, and we'll be happy to schedule a time for them to take that here. If they do have a 19 on the if they don't have a 19 on the ACT yet and they're retaking the ACT, go ahead and enter 19 as the composite score on the application when you apply. That way, the state will still look at their application and they can verify that they have the 19 on the ACT later on. So awards must be accepted by students on the SAMS website. The awards typically start going out towards the end of April or the beginning of May, and a lot of times the students are already done with high school by the time they get the email saying that they are being offered this scholarship. So they must use their personal email. The state cannot send anything to their school email. And when they leave high school, they won't have access to their school email anymore. So when you apply, make sure you use your personal email. And then to maintain eligibility, students must complete 15 hours per semester in college. That's 5 classes. They do allow students to take 4 classes their first semester only, and every semester after that, they have to have 15 hours. They also must maintain a 2.5 college GPA. And then the FAFSA is also required, which you will notice is required for almost all of the state scholarships. You must do a FAFSA whether you qualify for a federal Pell Grant or not. They do have to have one on file, and so do the colleges. The colleges won't be able to offer your student any institutional scholarships without a FAFSA on file. So the amount that the state offers for the academic challenge has also increased a little bit. So last year, the first year amount was $1,000, and this year it has gone up to $2,000, which helps our students a lot, especially freshman year when they have most of them have a gap between what they have and what they need to pay for their college. So $2,000 for the first year, and then the second year that amount goes up to $4,000, and then the fourth year, their last year in college, it will go up again to $5,000. If they're attending a 2-year community college, then the amount is $2,000 for the first year and then $3,000 for the second year. So the Academic Challenge Plus scholarship is based on financial need. So this is another reason they have to have their FAFSA. This amount will be based on the Student Aid Index, which is the SAI number that they will see when they actually complete the FAFSA application. So based on financial need, so if you have no financial need, you don't qualify for any Pell Grant, then you won't qualify for this Academic Challenge Plus. If you have a high financial aid need, then you'll see your SAI number will be like negative 1,500 to $31.99. If your SAI number falls in that range, then you will qualify for an additional $1,500 per semester, which will be a total of $2,500 per semester for the academic challenge for your first year. That's $5,000 for the first year, and if your financial need stays the same throughout college, then you will receive $5,000 every year from the academic challenge. So that is going to help a lot of our low-income families afford that university education if that's what your student is wanting to do. The Arkansas Future Grant, this is a really good program for specific college programs. So a lot of the nursing programs in the state are covered by this. So if you don't qualify for academic challenge and you don't qualify for federal Pell Grant, then this would be perfect to help you pay for that college tuition and fees. It does pay up to $3,800 per semester at a university, but most of the programs that qualify for this scholarship are at the local community college, the two-year community colleges. The eligibility is based on the program, not on the student. And there is a list on the website if you want to look on the SAM's website, and you can look at the details for the Arkansas Future Grant. You'll find a link to the list showing them if their program will qualify for this grant. It is only you can only use these at Arkansas public institutions, and it is on a first come first served basis. So the sooner you get your application in, the better. And again, FAFSA is going to be required for this too. So the Arkansas Workforce Challenge. Now this is for certificate programs that generally don't qualify for other forms of financial aid. You cannot get the workforce and the academic challenge at the same time. So if your student is interested in doing like a CDL program or something that's shorter than a semester, this is perfect for them. You do have to be an Arkansas resident for the last 3 years. Again, the eligibility is based on the program, and there is a list on the website that you can look at. The deadline to apply for this one is 30 days before classes begin. So certificate programs begin at different times throughout the year. And as long as you have your SAMS application in for this 30 days before those classes begin, then you'll be able to receive this money. You can do more than one certificate program per year. So it does pay up to $3,000 a year, but it pays up to $800 per certificate program. Okay, so if you want the academic challenge scholarship, that's the $15,000 for like university or community college, then you say no on the application for the workforce challenge because you cannot receive both of those together. You can receive academic challenge and Arkansas Future Grant together. You can receive Arkansas Future Grant and Workforce Challenge together. But academic and workforce are completely, you cannot put those together. So make sure if you're wanting academic challenge, say no on the application so that they don't offer you the workforce. I've had a lot of seniors in the past who said yes to the workforce, so they applied for both, and then when the state offered them the workforce, they accepted it when what they really wanted was the academic challenge. So then it's a little bit more trouble to go back and reject the offer and accept the academic. So just keep that in mind when you're completing your application. Okay, so the Arkansas Teacher Academy. This is a scholarship for aspiring teachers. So you must be accepted into a teacher education program to receive this funding. If you're going to a four-year university, then usually you don't get accepted into the teacher education program until around your junior year. So you won't be able to receive this funding as a freshman unless they have an associate's in teaching as a step toward the bachelor's degree. You can get an associate's in teaching from a community college and then transfer it and receive this funding. Uh, so that's how that works with the teacher education program. Recipients of this scholarship loan must teach in Arkansas as a teacher in a public school each year that they receive funding. So within a year after they graduate, they have to have their teaching license and they have to be teaching in an Arkansas public school. And if they receive these funds for 2 years, they must teach for 2 years. If they receive these funds for 4 years, then they must teach in Arkansas for 4 years. And at the end of their service as a teacher, then that money becomes, scholarship, don't have to pay anything back. If they, receive these funds for 2 years for an associate's degree, and then they change their mind and they don't want to teach anymore, that at that point the loan, the scholarship becomes a loan and will have to be repaid with interest. So it's very important that students don't accept this money unless they're certain that teaching is what they want to do. It does award up to $12,000 per year for tuition and program fees, which is a very large amount and generally will cover the cost of a university, a 4-year degree, as long as they actually do want to become a teacher. I will note that there are some graduate programs that are also covered. So for the parents that might be listening who are teachers, if you're interested in going back to college for a master's degree, then there are specific degrees that do qualify for this as well. Okay, the Governor's Scholarship. So the Governor's Distinguished Scholarship is the most academically rigorous scholarship that the state offers. Students must be a resident of Arkansas for at least 12 months, and they must have a super score of a 32 on the ACT, and they must have a 3.5 unweighted GPA, or be selected as a National Achievement Finalist or National Merit Finalist if they don't have the 3.5 GPA. Now, if they are striving for a 32 on the ACT and they don't have it yet, go ahead and enter 32 for your composite on the application when you apply, and the state will be able to they'll know to look at that application for this scholarship, and they'll be able to verify your ACT score is actually a 32 composite before they offer it to you. So the amount for this scholarship is $10,000 per year, and it does pay tuition, fees, room, and board. You cannot stack this with the academic challenge, so it's only $10,000 per year. The deadline to apply for this is March 1st. February ACT test scores are the last scores that will be accepted for this scholarship, and a FAFSA is required. Okay, the Governor's Scholars. This is a radical change from the state. So this is the big one. Hold on, my computer is about to go dead. Okay, so in the past, the Governor's Scholars was only given to students, to one student per county if no other students in that county received the distinguished. The state has now changed it so that seniors who qualify for a diploma of distinction can receive the scholarship. Now, diplomas of distinction do not begin with the class of 2026 or the class of 2027. Those diplomas will begin with the class of 2028. However, the state has already started the scholarship program to incentivize students to receive a diploma of distinction. So for this year's seniors, if they meet the qualifications necessary for diploma of distinction, then they'll be able to receive this scholarship. And we'll talk about that briefly here in a second. If the student is going to qualify for distinction when they graduate, I want them to enter a 32 on their ACT when they apply, when they do this application. That way the state will know, hey, we need to go look at this application and see, because when I don't believe that they've added the question for this yet about diploma of distinction. So that's why I say go ahead and enter a 32 as your ACT composite score so that they don't overlook it. So this award amount is $5,000 per year. It does pay for tuition, mandatory fees, room and board, and it does stack with the academic challenge. So the academic challenge is 15,000 and the governor's scholars is 20,000. So that's 35,000 if your student qualifies for a diploma of distinction. FAFSA is required for this too. So let's talk about pathways to distinction briefly. I would like your students to meet one-on-one with their career coach or their counselor to determine if they do in fact qualify for distinction. But these are some of the pathways. So the AP Scholar pathway to distinction requires that they take 3 AP courses in a specified area of study. Like if it's general studies, then they could do AP Lang, AP Lit, and AP US History. Those are general education classes. So those will qualify as the pathway. And then they also have to take 5 AP tests and have an average score of a 3.5 or higher on those 5 tests. So the other 2 AP tests could be in a different program of study, not necessarily general studies. They could be in AP art or computer science, as long as they have 3 that are in the specified area of study, and then a 3.5 average on 5 tests. The concurrent pathway to distinction requires a technical certificate or higher from an institution of higher education. So technical certificate is 30 to 31 hours of concurrent credit in a specific pathway. So the certificate of general studies does qualify for this scholarship. So if they have a lot, if your student has several college credits already, like English 1, English 2, World Lit, U.S. History, World History, uh, college algebra, they're 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 getting close to having that CGS, and they need to speak with their career coach or their counselor about taking some more classes next semester to complete that certificate so they can get this scholarship. There are some other technical certificates that are offered through Paragould High School and through Black River Technical College. The welding TC, there's the health professions TC, and those CTC programs that some of our students do. If they qualify, if they receive that TC when they graduate high school, then they qualify for this scholarship. Okay, there is an enlistment pathway to distinction. So if a student has taken 3 years of JROTC and they enlist, they can qualify for this scholarship, and the scholarship can be placed on hold during military service. If they join National Guard, then they can, if they're going off to boot camp and doing those things the first year after they graduate high school, they can place everything on hold for the year, and then come back and start their college after that. Okay, so non-US citizens with an employment authorization document, or students who have a parent who has an employment authorization document, can apply for the Governor's Scholars Program, and a FAFSA will not be required for them, but they must call this number if that is the situation. I know that, for students who have parents that are undocumented, or the students are undocumented, they cannot complete a FAFSA application, and so they don't qualify for any of these other scholarships that I'm talking about. But for the Governor Scholars, if they qualify, they can call this number and they will help them with their application. All right, so scholarship stacking. This is just an example of a senior who qualifies for distinction that has a high financial need. So their SAI number is between that negative 1,500 and the 3,199, and they're planning to attend a 4-year university. So they would receive the Governor Scholars, which is $5,000 per year, the Academic Challenge, which is $2,000 for the first year, and then the Academic Challenge Plus for the first year, which would be $3,000. So that would give them $10,000 in state financial aid up to the federal cost of attendance. Uh, that's not counting their Pell Grant that they would get. That's not counting any college institutional scholarships that they would get from, the college that they're planning to attend. So this is a game changer for a lot of students. All right, the Governor's Transition Scholarship. This is for students who are entering one of these qualified programs around the state. Howell at Arkansas State University here over in Jonesboro is one of those qualifying programs. So if you have a senior who's wanting to enter that program, then you can apply for this scholarship, and it will pay up to $2,500 per semester. The Arkansas Hero Scholarship. So they have made some changes to this scholarship. They were two separate scholarships. They had the military scholarship and the law enforcement scholarship, and they've combined them, and they've actually added some heroes to the list to qualify. So for a student whose parent was an Arkansas hero who was either killed in action or became 100% permanently disabled due to their service can qualify for this. And there is a long list. So there's military, there's law enforcement, volunteer or full-time firefighters, municipal or college and university police officers, sheriffs and deputy sheriffs, constables, game wardens, certain highway and transportation department employees, state forestry employees engaged in fighting forest fires, state corrections employees who are killed or totally disabled due to contact with inmates or parolees, state park employees who are commissioned as law enforcement officers or emergency response employees, EMTs, Department of Community Punishment employees, or teachers. And if they qualify for this scholarship, and you'll need to look on the website to look at the details for all the documentation that you would have to submit. This would waive in-state tuition and mandatory fees at any Arkansas institution. Okay, so sign up for the text alerts from ADHE and get reminders. I highly encourage that students do this because, again, we have a lot of seniors who forget to accept their awards in the summertime. And if they don't accept their award, they won't have this money when they go to college in the fall. So this is the website, thesams.adhe.edu. This is their email. If you have any problems, you need to contact them at the state level, and their phone number, and then of course text ADHE to this number down here to sign up for the text alerts. And hopefully we'll get all of our seniors to accept their awards this year. So for the FAFSA, FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The federal Pell Grant maximum amount for this year is, again, it's $7,395 per year. Eligibility is based on the 2024 tax information, and it's based on financial need. And the tax information is automatically pulled from the IRS website into the FAFSA application, so you don't need to have copies of your tax returns to do this application. Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunities Grant. This is extra money that the federal government sends to colleges and universities, and it is on a first come, first served basis. So the sooner you complete your FAFSA, the better opportunity you have to get one of these grants. This is money that you don't have to pay back. If you have a high financial need and the college receives your FAFSA and they say yes, you have a high financial need, they can offer you an amount in one of these grants, and the amount depends on the college that you apply to. Not all colleges participate in this program, and again, the funds are limited and they do run out, so applying early is important. Okay, this is one of the main questions that we get about dependency. Do I need my parents' information, or am I an independent student? So for seniors, a lot of seniors believe that they will be considered independent because they're 18 years old. That is not the case. You must be 24 or older to be considered an independent student. So anyone under the age of 24 would need their parent to help to do their part of the FAFSA application. If a student is married, if the student has children who receive more than half of their support from them between July 1st of 2026 and June 30th of 2027, then they would be considered independent. If the student is on active duty for reasons other than training in the U.S. Armed Forces, they will be considered independent and will not need their parents' information. If at any time after the student was 13 years old, if both parents were deceased, if the student was in foster care, or if the student was a ward of the state, now or at any time since the age of 13, then they would be considered independent and they would not need their parents' information. If they are under the legal guardianship of someone other than a parent or a step parent. So if a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle has legal guardianship of the student, then they are considered independent for the purposes of FAFSA and they only use their own information. If a student is unaccompanied or homeless, so if they're self-reporting and at risk of being homeless, then they will be considered independent. Now, they do need to make sure that the school knows that they are unaccompanied or homeless, and so that they will be in our system listed as McKinney-Vento, which is the law that classifies students who are homeless. If you have special circumstances, then you can get in touch with the financial aid department at your college, and they could possibly do a manual override and treat you as an independent student. And that is in very specific cases, and it would probably have to be severe. So if you don't meet any of those requirements on this list, then you are considered a dependent student and you do have to have your parent complete part of the FAFSA application. Okay, so I do want to talk about one more thing. These are the interest rates and the origination fees for student loans right now. This is why we have a student loan crisis in America, and I never ever recommend student loans to our students. We want them to get scholarships to pay for their college, or if they don't have enough to go to that university, then maybe they need to go to a community college for a couple of years and then transfer and do a transfer scholarship instead. But if a student is close, like they don't have that much of a gap between their financial aid that they have and the amount that they have to pay, then I do have a recommendation. If they want to borrow a student loan to fill the gap, then just two things. Number one, do not borrow more than you actually need to pay for the college. Okay, because a lot of students will borrow the full amount that's offered, and then they'll use the money to pay their car payment or buy stuff that they don't need. We don't want you to go into debt to do stuff like that. So if you need a few $1,000s to pay, what just fill the gap, then go ahead and do that, and pay it back as fast as you can, because this interest will be accumulating. So there is a new law that was passed, and the colleges haven't sorted out the details yet, and they won't until July. So for subsidized loans, in the past, the interest did not start accumulating until after graduation. Unsubsidized loans, the interest does accumulate. It starts to accumulate as soon as you borrow it. This new law that was passed, we believe the subsidized loans, the interest will also start accumulating on those as soon as you borrow. And you're not going to know until July, maybe August, if that interest is going to be accumulating while you're in college. So I want to just warn against you, going into debt, especially with all of these scholarships that are available from the state and from the federal government. And there are many ways that students can get to the same place without having to go into debt. So those are my two rules for student loans. Only borrow what you need and pay it back as fast as fast as you can. That way, the longer it takes you to pay it back, the more money you end up having to pay back. So, okay, any questions can be directed to your student's career coach. My name is Francesca Shearer, and Ms. Hall, she is also a career coach here. And so my email address is F as in Francesca, Shearer, SHEARER, at paragoldschools.net. And Ms. Hall's email is B as in Brittany, Hall, HALL, at paragoldschools.net. And thank you.